Hello and welcome back to the channel and a brand new video. And I wasn't planning on filming any of this, and today what I am doing is I'm actually going to recondition the alloy wheels. But for the bands, I've got to show you this. Even if I don't show you anything else in the video, I've got to show you this. Right, I want to hear your comments down below for what this could be. Right, listen. I don't know if you can pick that up. I'm trying to record the sound of the wheel because there's something else in here. I'll tell you what I'll do. Is I'll get another little clip and I'll put that in here. So what do you reckon it is? So this wheel itself doesn't look too bad. The centre caps are quite, yeah, got a few stone chips and some sort of like weird plastic corrosion. But the first thing I want to do is to give it all a good clean up. There is slight scuffs on this wheel. It's not too bad, but there is also corrosion and, you know, little chips here and there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it all up and then just give it a spray it over lightly, another black, and hopefully that should do it. But for the other wheels, because one of the other wheels is, does have a little bit of curb rash on the other wheel, I'll probably use some alloy wheel filler and do that. But I'm doing it all with the tyres on. I'm not worried about taking the tyres off, and I'm not doing the barrel, the inner of the wheel. I'm only going to do the faces, what you can see, the main bits, because as you can see it's going to be quite tricky where we've got all of these screwed in. Yeah, then I want to clean out all in there. Any bits that need to be done will get done. You know, there's a few little chips. It's nothing, you know, from a couple of metres away they look spot on. But when you start getting close, you go, ooh, look at that. Ooh, look, ooh. Yeah, and I don't like that, especially where the Vectra is pretty mint and there's no, you can't really say a bad thing about it. So at the moment it's the wheels. So we've got to get the wheels done. I'm going to give them a wash, clean them all down, and then start just flattening all these surfaces off. I've got some stone chip repair that I'll probably put into the finer little chips that I can't get rid of. Alright, let's get it washed up and cleaned up and sorted out. Right, so I've gone ahead, it's all been cleaned, it's all nice and dry. You can see there is a few places where it's down through to metal, down through to the alloy. So what I'm going to have to do is, to get rid of all this bubbling but yeah, I'm just going to give it a light sand down, clean up all these little scuffs and that around the edge. And then where it goes through to the metal, like here, I'm going to use some etch primer. But obviously I'm going to have to mask up every single one of these, which is going to take a long time. And yeah, like I say, I'm not going to do the inside of the wheel, so we'll mask all of it up on the inside as well. Yeah, and we'll just do the face. I've also got tack rags. I've got loads of little bits and pieces left lying around because I've done loads of spray jobs over the years. So finally get to use half the products that I've got. I mean, on the camera, it looks a lot better on camera than what it does in my eye. I mean, there's all stone chips in here and all bubbling there, and this is probably the best wheel on the whole car. So, right, let's start sanding it down. go, ready for its primer. So it's another day. It took me a whole day to go ahead and just prep the wheel ready for paint. So I went over with some very coarse 80 grit paper first, just to get rid of sort of like the corrosion and the high spots and all the stone chips. And then I went over with some 400 grit paper, and then we went over with some 800 wet and dry. And now I've gone ahead, you can see I've masked up the inside of the wall, some paper, masked up the outer wall, masked up all the little, where the bolts are, and yeah, so everything's been masked up that needs to be masked up. And now it's a case of, we're going to put some etch primer on, and then we've got to leave it for 24 hours, and then I can put the top coat on. But before I actually paint it, I need to clean it. So I've got some brake cleaner. I'm going to clean it all, go over with some brake cleaner, because the brake cleaner evaporates as well. So we'll give it a good clean with the brake cleaner, leave everything to evaporate, and then we will give it a go over with the tack cloth and then the paint. Right, so I've gone ahead, cleaned the wheel up, brake cleaner, paper towel, cleaned everything up that's going to be painted. I've now got my tack rag to wipe everything down, and then I'm going to wheel the tyre out and put it up just up against the side there. I've put some cloth down, that'll be all right. And then yeah, once I get outside, I'll do another go over with the tack rag, and then give it a quick spray, and then roll it back in, wait for it to dry, and then back out again. I'm just going to do light coats of this etch primer that I've got. Just going to do a few light coats of that, just to help the black paint bond to where there's bare aluminium, and there's a few little patches. So yeah, I'll just go around, etch primer that up quickly, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Whee! How does that look? That's the etch primer. Now it does say that the etch primer should be left on for 24 hours before you put the top coat on. So I just looked at the time now. So yeah, 5 to 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock tomorrow, I can spray that black. And hopefully that'll be it. It can then go, once it's dried, it can then go on the wheel. And then once it's dried, it can go back onto the car and we'll get another wheel off. I know it's a long process doing one wheel at a time, but I don't have a set of spare wheels. And I don't really want to be leaving it on bricks or on axle stands or anything out there, so because it's on the road. So I'm just going to do one wheel at a time. But I reckon that's going to come up all right. I'm pretty happy with that, how that primer's come out. And I've hardly used any of the can. And I've done a couple of coats, just light coats, until it all sort of like covered everything. Mainly sort of like where there was bare metal. So in some places it's a bit thicker than it is on others. I mean, on these spokes, there's barely any paint on there, just a very light coat, enough so that, you know, there's a primer on it. Although it didn't really need primer there, it needed primer sort of like on some of the edges and one of the spokes. But yeah, that's all done, happy with that. Get it sprayed up tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Cool beans, I'll see you tomorrow. So there it is, voila. Perfection. No, it's not perfection. There is a few imperfections on there still. It's where I didn't prepare it properly. There's a couple of these stone chips, you can see them slightly, ever so slightly. I don't know how well you can pick that up, but there's a couple of little, ooh, I'm tripping over things behind me. And there's a little bit of imperfection here. It's not a run, I don't know what it is. I think the can, I'm tripping over things behind me, sorry. I think the can, because they're only rattle cans, Halford's cheap rattle cans, I think it's sort of like there must have been a bit of dirt or something. So that will T-cut out at a later stage. But they look really good, nice and shiny. And on the back, because I didn't do the back, let me just lay that. Because I didn't do the back, you can see where it's sort of like chipped away on the back. So it does need doing properly. You know, there's a few scuffs and that, and on that inner rim. I mean, I could get them all done properly, but the only problem with getting them all done properly is I need another set of wheels to put on the car, and this is just the most practical way to do it for now, just to tidy it up on a temporary basis. Good as new. No, I'm really happy with that. Really happy. What a result. So just looking at the wheels themselves, I've decided I'm not going to recondition this front driver's wheel. It doesn't look too bad, so I'm just going to put this one on the rear and we'll have a look at the others. This wheel off the rear on the passenger side, this is one I'm going to do next, and then after I've done this one I'll do the front wheel and I'll show you how bad the front wheel is after this one's done. So I've cleaned the wheel up, prepped it all as best I can, trying to remove, well, all the worst of the paint where it's flaked away and all the chips. It's all flattened down, 400 grit. I've still got to go over with some 800 wet and dry just to make sure it's all nice and smooth. But I've got some cards, I've just put some cards around the rim because there's a few little scuff marks. They're not too bad, but they're enough to, they're going to notice, they're going to show up. And what I'm going to do is scratch and stone chip filler. I'm just going to squirt a little bit in around there. I've just got the cards here so I don't get it down round the edge, you know, so it doesn't go down there in that little gap, so I can just hold it up. I mean, it's not bad, but they will notice and they will show. But don't like that, there's liquid coming out there and all sorts. Right, let's use one of these cards to try and flatten it. Doesn't matter if I put too much on because it's easy sand apparently. I have pushed that down quite hard, so hopefully that's gone in and filled all that up. I don't know how much you've seen because I'm not actually looking at the camera at the moment, I'm just looking at the job that I'm doing. Oh, there you go, that'll do for now. I don't know how much you're going to see of any of that. I might trim most of that out, but I'm going to let that dry off. It should only take about 20 minutes. Then I'll sand it down and see if it needs another go over. So I filled all the little scratches and scuffs on the rim with the scratch and stone chip filler. The first bit that I done here didn't look too great, but those other little bits that I've patched up have come out all right, looking good. All I've got to do now is sand it off. I have started sanding it. You can see it sands away really easily. Again, I'm just going to use some 400 grit, just smooth it up so that I can't feel it anymore, and then go over with some 800 wet and dry, and then it'll be a case of prepping it again for spraying. But it's getting there. Result. Right, so it's all been sanded down. I mean, you can see the scuffs, but that is actually flat. There is filler in there now. Where else was there some? Oh yeah, this edge along here. It feels quite smooth now. Everything feels good. So we get some primer on it. Well, I'm going to mask it up. I've got some tape, masking tape, some paper. Ready all masked up. We get all these masked up. We'll primer it. Looks good, nice and shiny. It's been, I think, about 10 minutes since I last sprayed it, so yeah, it's looking good. So I put 2 coats on, quite thin, I would say, like, you know, dry coats, and then I just went over a third time with a nice thick wet coat, and that's come up really nice. Looks really good, happy with that. So this wheel's now ready to go back onto the vehicle. Before I put it back on though, well, I say it's ready to go back on, it needs to harden off, so I'm going to actually leave it 24 hours so the paint can actually harden properly. I will move it into the conservatory in a minute, because in the conservatory it's nice and warm in there, and when the sun shines it does get a little bit of UV on there, which the sun seems to have gone behind a cloud. Never mind. But for the front wheel I'm going to be using some of this, and because I've been dragging this video out and it has taken quite a while, I think I will do that on the repair for the next wheel in another video. So I think for now, if you can see me, for now I'm going to call it a day. Sun's back out again, so I'm going to move the wheel now into the conservatory so I can get a bit of UV, bit of heat, let it bake, and I will see you next time when we do the front wheel, when I repair some of the scratches and scuffs, and yeah, you'll see that soon. So thank you for watching, hopefully this helps. Cheap wheel repair, cost me a couple of cans of black gloss paint, 1 can of primer, plenty of elbow grease. So for what, 30-40 quid, refurb the set of wheels. Although saying that, that stuff there was like a tenner or something. But yeah, we'll get into that on the next video. Right, thanks for watching, take care, stay safe, and God bless.